In stats, we took our movie data by class period and we made this table. And then we took that data and we made a comparative bar chart as the instructions tell us to right up there. So when we did that, we made our horizontal axis just about identical to what it was yesterday in class. So we still called this favorite movie genre. And then we still have to write all the categories. I don't know if I can fit it in this smallest space, but we'll give it a try. Looks like it's going to work. And then we had to decide on a new number scale for 8th period. Because 8th period yesterday only went up to 25, but now we're looking at 3rd period's data also, and you see this 27 right here. So we need to account for that. Whoops. Let's get rid of that. And we need a number up to at least 27. We decided in class to number up to 30. So we're going to go by 5s up to 30. And this is relative frequency. I'm going to title this AP Stats Classes. And when we make this, we need to have a legend, because we're going to draw 2 bars for comedy for all the categories, and you won't be able to tell which is which. So for example, this first one is 22 and 25. Ooh, this is going to be very close. So I need to know which is which. So I'm going to come up here. I'm going to say blank is 3rd and shaded is 8th. So I'm going to hit pause, speed up the video, and make a bunch of bars. All right, so we have our bar graph. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully you made a similar one. We need to now talk about it and look at anything of interest. So I would say for both class periods, there were 0 responses for drama and musical movie genres. Context is key. We need to make sure we have context. One tiny difference is there were 0 documentaries for 3rd, but 8% in 8th. So that's one small difference, but I feel like there's another, and it's important to talk about the highs and the lows. So let's talk about the 2 highs. So 8th period had a high of comedy and third period had a high for horror. So I'd point that out also, and that they were different, and we'll be about done. The high for third was horror. I feel like I said that backwards a second ago. At 27%, while the high was comedy for 8th. At 25%. I think that's enough to say in a description. We talked about the highs, the lows, similarity, a difference. I mean, you could maybe add one more sentence looking for something else that standed out to you, but I think that's okay. That's plenty. So next, we moved on, and we had this table of opinions about getting rich. So in this table, people answered whether they had no chance, some chance, 50-50, good chance, almost certain, and we did this by gender. This is a two-way table. Now, by the way, this is also a two-way table because we have one variable right here, class period, and we have another variable here, movie genre. So for any one cell, one response, there were two questions, what class period and what movie genre. So if we go back to this new table, getting rich, we have two variables. We have gender and, whoops, I just totally messed that up. I thought the ink was on. Let's fix that. So let's start over. We have one variable of gender and one variable of opinion, so that's what goes in the two blanks. Let me scroll down so we can see part A. So gender and opinion of getting rich. There's this other vocabulary word called marginal, and it's the distribution of values in the margin of the table. So for example, this is the marginal distribution for gender, and this is, so let me write that, and this is the marginal distribution for opinion. So on part A down there, it's asking us to calculate the marginal distribution for opinion. So when they do that, something important to think about, because people get tripped up on all the different numbers on the board, in the problem, we want to ignore the gender data, because they are asking just for the marginal distribution of opinion. So don't scribble on your paper, but yet we are going to literally ignore all of these numbers, and I am only interested in those leftovers. So when I do that, I'm going to calculate almost no chance as 194 divided by 4826. And when I do that, I get 0.0402. I'm going to do some chance, and I'm going to take 712 divided by 4826 and get 1475. I'm going to take 50-50 and get 2934. We'll look at good chance and get 2944. And lastly, almost certain, we get 2244. And that's the marginal distribution for opinion. I mean, you can write it in the table, do your calculations in the table if you want, but make sure it's clear on part A what your answer is. Because on the next slide, we're going to find conditional distribution. But this is the marginal. Down below this, it asks you to make a bar chart, but we've done that before, so we're going to skip that and move on to conditional. So calculate the conditional distribution of opinion among the young men from the previous example. So up here it defines conditional. That's where a value depends on one category of another variable. So for example, let's look at the conditional for males. I am only looking at the males right now based on that question, and I'm going to go 98 divided by 2459. And that's going to give me the almost proportion for males. Same for that one. Whoops. There we go. Same for this one. So we'll write that all out. Conditional for males. One way you can write it, if you want, you could write it like this, because we kind of write it like that for probability. We're going to go 98 divided by 2459 and get 0399. For some, we're going to go 286 divided by 2459 and get 1163. For 50/50, we'll get 2928. For good chance, we'll get 3083. And almost certain, oops, I spelled that funny. There we go. We get 2428. And that's it. Tomorrow, off of that data, we'll make a segmented bar chart. See y'all later.